Hello, my name is Jacob, and I don't watch very much anime.
Hey.
This is Kenneth.
Hey. I'm Kane.
Hi, Kane.
And we watch
A moderate amount of anime.
Today we're talking about My Hero Academia, episodes 9 through 12. That bad boy starts with, yeah, just do your best, Ida. In this one...
title names of any episode.
Yeah.
That we've experienced thus far.
In this one, the school has like a very clearly defined defense system that's keeping out all of the reporters, but it ends up getting activated at one point, and all the students freak out.
Yeah, they actually breach the system. They break into the school to film somebody.
Yeah.
All Might.
I feel
Is
like
it because he's a teacher, right?
Yeah, the reporters break into the school. It's later revealed that that's that is a diversion, but for the purposes of this episode, the reporters break into the school.
Right. Also, I feel like that front door steel thing coming up could easily just crush somebody.
Right. Yeah, that thing's like a fucking firewall.
It just came up. It's just that's a huge lawsuit waiting to happen.
That whole school is a huge lawsuit waiting to happen, but
plus
everybody has
Ultra's not working in
superpowers,
court.
so I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Plus, Ultra's not getting past anybody in court.
Yeah. It says here, excuse me, Mr. All Might Esquire, it says on your defense just the word plus ultra.
Go beyond!
Yeah, do they have court in this universe? I don't feel
law doesn't matter with
Well,
quirks.
I mean, law matters, but
law has
not
no rules.
in the judicial sense. In the just we pay these superheroes, they caught the bad guys, and they go straight to jail. They don't get to say shit about what they were doing. We're just gonna send them, and if we feel like they're good people, they can roam free.
It's like in those old-timey Superman cartoons where Superman could just drop a bad guy through the roof of a jail and he's just in jail.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's no due process.
That's like Monopoly rules. It's like, oh, you landed here, so...
It's like Batman just drops him off at Arkham.
Right.
Doesn't drop him off for processing. Doesn't drop him off...
Well, in Batman, it's at a certain point, these villains have, made names for themselves, so at a certain point, he's like, yeah, so this is... this guy again, and Arkham's like,
serving.
We don't need to go through the paperwork. We'll just put him where he needs
Iceman
to be.
serving 7 consecutive life sentences.
Yeah.
So you can just throw him back in.
We don't need.
Yeah.
Well, plus Batman's a menace.
Yeah.
Batman's a terrible law enforcement personality. He does more harm for Gotham than good. But that's a different show.
I mean, we all know how he could fix it all.
Yeah, the fact that he has enough money to make a space station and doesn't invest it in a school system.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a lot of hang-ups about Batman.
Or he could just start killing people.
Well, if you just start killing people, then more villains just show up. They'll just take the place. It's a systemic problem.
And they get killed too.
But, yes, but this isn't... You can't Death Note your way to a world. I thought Death Note proved you couldn't do that.
We haven't watched that on the channel yet.
Come on! We're not watching the second season. I'm not watching the second season.
We'll get another person to fill in for Kenneth
for the second season.
Yeah.
Just call him Kenneth, but I'm not watching that shit.
Okay, but this episode...
I feel weird having referenced another anime that we're not talking about. That's your guys' job.
One of us.
Curse my need to read ahead. So, in this one, Deku is chosen as the class representative while Momo is chosen as deputy because they decide to work by democracy, but everybody just votes themselves, except for a couple people.
Right.
3 people vote for Deku, including himself.
And
two people vote for Momo, right?
Right. Well, I think...
Tenya votes for Midoriya, right?
Yes.
Because he thought reverse psychology thing where everybody would vote for him.
Yeah.
But he voted for somebody else.
Right.
Well, because Tenya thought that Deku actually was genuinely the best possible leader.
Yes. That wasn't himself.
Yeah.
He's not voting for himself because he's Tenya.
Yeah.
Right, that's what...
But he wanted everybody else's vote.
Well, that kind of goes with sort of the theme of this episode, which is learning to have confidence in himself, which he doesn't believe in himself, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't believe in himself, and it's not that he purposely doesn't believe in himself. It's more of a subconscious thing where he's focused on other people, to learn.
Well, and he's constantly trying to live up to an ideal as well.
Right.
He has a set of rules that he has to abide by and certain guidelines he has to maintain because he wants to be his older brother.
Yeah.
And they say in this episode, it turns out that his family runs a very well-known agency.
Yep.
And he is expected to become a part of that lineage.
Ingenium. That's the superhero's name.
Is what it's called?
His name is
Ingenium?
Ingenium. Yeah. And
Oh my god, it's like Ingenious but with an engine? Was that what that's supposed to be? Ingenious?
Yes.
Oh my god. I just realized that
Welcome
now.
to the My Hero Academia naming team.
We're a group of writers that are on the nose.
Yeah. Ingenium is to Ida like All Might is to Deku in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So not just as like an ideal, but as a real person mentor that has instilled values into them. So Ida's all about learning, and so is Deku. And I think it's a great. We have a ton of different rivalries throughout the school, right? We have Bakugo and Deku. We've got just tons of different characters that are all kind of going for the same thing here. They're all at school to become the best hero, right? They're all in the first A class, the class 1A.
Yeah.
They're all in the hero program to become the best of the best, right? That's why they went to school. That's why they took the course they're taking. And so it's interesting that, we have this like childhood rivalry with Bakugo, but now we have sort of a new rivalry that is more of a healthy rivalry, whether or not they really truly feel like they're enemies.
Yeah, I'd actually be hesitant to call it a rivalry, but between him and his brother, is that what you're saying?
No, between Ida and Midoriya in
Oh,
Deku.
yeah,
Because
I can see that.
Because they're both learning from each other at a rate that's like, and I mean, we see it in this episode specifically, right? We see Ida take notice from Midoriya of, always jumping forward and saving people, right? He takes his first leap in the episode by taking command of the panicking people.
They both manage to push each other in a very healthy way.
Right, and likewise at the end of the episode, Deku is like, he's better for this job than me.
Yeah.
And we can add that to the whole system of they only picked Deku because of his powers, not because of who he is or what he's capable of doing. But Deku's able to realize that, hey, Ida's the best person for this job.
Yeah.
We should put him, and nobody objects because they all see that it's true finally.
Yeah,
so they both push each other in that sense.
Yeah, because Ida does a really good job leading the students when he needed to, when they were all panicking. He's the one who thought to use Uraraka's assistance to get up ahead of them and to calm them all down by letting them know there's nothing to panic about.
Right.
And Deku takes a really good leadership role by saying, I'm not the best candidate.
Yeah.
And that takes a really strong person to say. And it's honestly a good leadership quality to say, I'm not the perfect leader here.
Right. I think it's just really cool that we get, it's one of those episodes that we get an interesting dynamic with a new character we're not really, like, for sure jumping into yet, right? We get Ida. This is, like, his episode for the most part, in terms of character development, if no longer being the background character like he was a few episodes ago according to Bakugo. Mm-hmm. He's important now, and he's clearly important to Deku and their relationship, and as classmates and as peers, they're friends. Ochiko, Deku, they're the crew now.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's just a really positive episode with a positive message, and this is probably one of my favorites of the first season.
Now, I think it is worth stating that when Deku puts Ida in charge, Momo just straight up says, I just said Momo like she's the Museum of Modern Art. Momo just says, I got 2 more votes than him, which is a good point. She actually got more votes than Ida, and she still has to be his deputy.
Right. There's more to that. Character development for her is also super interesting. Yeah. That's why she doesn't speak up right away. Like rewatching it
until even later in next season.
We don't even find out about her character development till a little bit later. Obviously, this episode specifically is about Ida, but also this is kind of setting the groundwork for these are kind of our main folks that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
And addressing his issues in the moment. Here. Do you think if Ida had been more... Do you think it's based off of powers that everybody's, going for themselves? Or do you think if Ida had been more confident in the first few weeks of school, people would have seen that he wanted... Like, if he had made it clear that he wanted the position, do you think that the other kids would not have just voted for themselves? They would have voted for him?
No.
You
I think they voted based on the fact that they all wanted to be the leader. The only people who voted for other people are Ida and why can I never fucking remember her name? Uraraka, thank you.
Yeah, or Ochiko's.
I don't know why I can't ever remember her name.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're the only other people who voted for somebody who wasn't themselves, except for the one person who voted for Momo. I don't think they say who that is.
Is it? It's not Kirishima. Is it the blonde kid, Kaminari? I think so. I think
The electric kid?
He's the one. I think it's Kaminari who's. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure he's the one who says out loud. She's the one who said all these things during the exam.
Yeah, there's somebody.
It's either Kirishima or Kaminari. I can't. They both have spiky hair and they're both kind of just like teenage guys.
Yeah.
That are. Well, that doesn't happen yet, so.
You're right. But they're both just like kind of like guys.
Yeah.
In like a generic sense.
Your kids.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They're kind of the bros of the circle.
Now, at the end of this episode, they are going off on what is essentially some sort of field trip to a different part of the campus.
Oh yeah, right. I mean,
Like they get in a bus to go to the campus.
Yeah,
place,
to like
the campus.
and they make a note being like, "This place is pretty fucking big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty big campus."
Oh, I thought it was like a different place.
No, it's within the UA walls. It's
Because it has to be. That's why they had the diversion
right,
to get the villains in.
right.
Yeah, it's the like special rescue area wherein number 13, who is a rescue-based hero, is
love
working it.
the fact. So we see it all the time that Deku knows every single hero by name. He knows the underground ones like Aizawa. He knows all these heroes of powers. This is the first time we see another character geek out. We get to see Ochiko freak out about 13 for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
She literally is like, "That's 13," and nobody acknowledges it. Not a single person. She just does it, and I think that's wonderful because I feel like that's an exact that's real. Deku's the only one who's super open about his nerdship in terms of loving All Might and loving these superheroes, right?
Yeah.
This is the first time and I feel like that's more natural of like, especially at that age in high school of being like, these are my heroes, but they're my heroes to my Hero Academia.
Yeah.
You know, these are my heroes to myself. And I think it was a nice little touch that we get another character freak out about somebody.
And also, why is she 13? Apollo 13?
Yeah, it's a little, all the naming on the
We're
nose.
on the name.
Yeah.
We're on the nose in the show.
To the point, yeah. And she also works at, I can't remember what it actually stands for, but
The
they call it the
USJ.
USJ.
I can't remember. It's
And
like,
then I was like, oh yeah, like Universal Studios Japan.
Yeah.
Which is a joke I wouldn't understand. They spell it out in the show, and if they didn't spell it out, I wouldn't get it.
yeah.
Yeah, because they call it Universal Studios Hollywood.
Right.
USH.
Well, no, we call it Universal Studios. We don't call it jack shit. We don't call it USH. Who's called it USH?
People that work there, like me, for a month.
Really? They call it USH?
Yeah.
I've never heard it called that.
Usually just like within.
Yeah. So let's move on to episode 2, actually episode 10, Encounter with the Unknown. At the end of episode 9, a big group of villains end up warping on in. And this one starts with them having warped in and using the power to separate the students to the different areas of the USJ.
My note says, Mist Guy can teleport.
Yes.
Miss?
Yes, he can.
That's what they refer to him as
that's
in
true.
the, or at least in the subs. They just call him the Mist Guy.
It's kind of dumb.
That's what Bakugo's like. Oh, the Mist
Have
Guy.
you ever seen Purple Mist?
Yeah.
Bakugo. Fuck, kid,
like-
you are smart, but you stupid.
No, Mist Guy. It's the Mist Guy. Yep.
In this one, Aizawa and 13 protect the students. Aizawa's powers are not good for major group fighting, but he still holds
Although
his
he
own
still
really well.
gets to work,
yeah,
boy.
yeah. Well,
he still gets
I mean,
to work.
he has the line where he's like, "Don't underestimate what the pro hero can do." He's like, "You guys are kids. Like, yeah, my powers might not be best for one-on-one, but I'm a pro hero, and I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna actually do." And he does some serious. I mean, he takes out all the guys in that surrounding area. You know, except for the main bads.
And he's got
Yeah.
the And he's got the good advantage of the goggles.
Yeah.
They don't know who he's looking at. So.
Yeah.
Assumedly, those goggles are he probably started wearing them because it helps shore up his weakness.
Yeah.
He's not good at group fighting, partially because they can always see who he's looking at.
Yeah.
So it's easy to just be like,
Yep.
now you don't know where I'm looking.
Exactly. And then, he learns how to use the wraps and stuff himself.
Because
That's
one guy's like,
nothing to do
oh, I
with
bet you
ability.
can't stop somebody like me.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, stupid ass, I trained for this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true, because isn't the guy who says that, it's because his quirk is
he's like physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His quirk is just
forget
like,
the
I'm
word.
strong.
Yeah, I forget the word he uses.
Yeah.
But it's physical. It's changing his body type. So.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, no, that's what I got this for. Yeah, I'm ready.
Straight up. Aizawa was the best. We also get to see 13 do some serious cool fights.
Because her quirk is black hole, where she can just suck people up and turn them into dust.
Which
I'm like, yes, please.
Which she is a black hole?
I think so. I'm not quite sure.
I don't know what the hell she is.
'Cause-
Is she some sort of like the Seth MacFarlane character from Hellboy 2 kind of thing going on? Or
Well,
what
we
is she?
see later on like
That her
Miss Guy.
suit is. We'll see later on that her suit is open.
And yet we also see later on that Miss Guy has some sort of like physical presence in one spot. I assume
Yeah.
she probably works the same way because everybody starts off, they're born like regularly human, it said,
And then it
comes later on in life.
Because later on they show her suit in the IR hooked up,
Right.
Yeah.
but it's broken and open.
Would you think for like some of these other characters who are like, we see some of them as like the villains and stuff, that when the villains show up, that are just like crazy deformed looking, like straight up monsters, right? Like,
Yeah.
like things that like sharp teeth, one eye, cyclops, like
Yeah.
literal monsters. And imagining these people were born as children, like regular looking human
They turned
children,
into
and
this.
eventually turned into these things.
Yeah.
How painful that process must have been for characters like that sludge monster at the beginning of the series.
No, their entire DNA just sort of morphs into
Or
some
it
kind of
might
sludge.
not even be painful, but it's mentally painful.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it just goes to show you, like, it might... The understanding of why these characters are the characters that end up being part of the
It's
villain
a
group.
social issue.
Yeah.
Where all the ugly looking people, we don't want you to be a hero. You go ahead and be a villain.
Right, and then we have all these... The pro heroes are all these glamorized, good-looking, like Best Jeanist.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Well, yeah, because the entire society is built around looking good and appealing to people.
Exactly.
So yeah, that makes a lot of
Well,
sense.
what comic book do you read where the main character is ugly?
The only ones who do that are ones where the fact that the main character is ugly is a huge point.
part,
Like
yeah.
Hellboy, like Swamp Thing.
Right.
Like, yeah, they are the heroes, but the fact that they aren't traditionally attractive is a huge part of their story.
Right, but this show goes ahead and says, yeah, that's right. They show you it happening. They show you the underground, these characters falling into it. They show you that, hey, these pretty people are the top of the top, and something's wrong here. Just in general of their society, like we're talking about with Deku's just like, he's not a powerful student, he's not one of the big greats. And then we have Bakugo, who's praised all his life. When you look at Bakugo and everybody who's in this class with him that are all so equally powerful, are like, Bakugo kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of like, he kind of sucks as a person.
Now, in this one, All Might can't be with the students because he spent that morning heroing and he's like out of hero juice.
Which
That's a great way to define
looks like
that.
becomes a little thing in this little arc where he feels guilty, but it was like,
You were
were
saying
saying-
Yeah, he was saying he didn't know this was going to happen.
like chill out.
yeah, when the principal's
He's
like,
so
sit down.
broken down.
Yeah, he's like messed up about it. The principal's like, sit down, we're gonna drink some tea. We're gonna
Like,
drink some
he
tea, we're
makes
gonna
it
talk about
seem, he makes it
this.
seem like he was just being All Might, just jumping around, hiking.
Like Hulk leaping from building to building
Yeah,
just
like-
to do it. I want to waste energy today.
like you were helping people.
Not feeling like teaching the kids.
I gotta get this chocolate croissant back before it gets cold.
Also, you help people.
True though, that's real.
Yeah.
You help people that had no chance of helping themselves.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
the students have a chance.
That's actually a fair point.
Yep.
Like he helped.
I hadn't
regular
even
people.
thought of that, but yeah.
Students have a chance to save themselves.
And specifically this group of students,
Yeah.
as we
Yeah.
learn.
Todoroki.
Right. Is this the episode that
Fucking goat.
he just because they all get split up by Mist Guy, right? They all get split up into the different sectors. Like this was part of the class, right? They kind of do it. They kind of like teach the class for them. They're supposed to be messed up. Like the original premise was like, oh, we're gonna go into different terrains so we can practice using your abilities in these terrains. And then, well, what do you know? They do just get sent into terrains. And then, but because the villains have no idea about the powers of these kids, when they split them up randomly. But it works to the advantage of some of the characters, like Sue, they get sent to the water area, and she's just like amazing.
Yeah, if you knew what I could do, you wouldn't fucking put me in here. Yeah. This is where I'm best.
Exactly, and so a lot of characers like
Does she even do water stuff?
What, Sue?
What does she do?
Well, she can breathe underwater. She can swim under. She's super fast. Literally, she does it. She catches Deku and shit, and she just jumps around. She's able to just immediately jump from the water and like grab at all of them and land on the.
Goddamn whirlpool.
Land on the
What is
boat.
that dude's name? Stupid ass pervy kid.
Oh, Mineta.
Baby Man.
Yeah, Mineta.
I'm just gonna call him Baby Man.
Yeah.
He has a literal diaper and a cape.
Yeah. Which he designed himself.
Yeah.
Which was established. He designed that look himself.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have a unitard and a diaper.
Yep.
And a yellow cape.
Yep.
Oh my.
He designed that.
What did he put on his thing to the costume designers of the school? Like, yeah, make me look as much like Tommy Pickles as possible.
Tommy Pickles with a cape.
I think there's interesting character development here, right? As he's kind of the representation of the baby, of the scaredy cat. In this episode in particular.
That boy.
He really sees Deku as a symbol of someone who keeps overcoming a problem, because he knows that Deku can't really use his power without breaking shit, and he does it anyway. And that in the end ends up inspiring him to use his nigh worthless power to at least do something, and he gets the villains in a club.
It does, right? Yeah. It does something, right?
His power is completely fucking useless till it's not.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
that's a good way of putting it.
And that's the point of the few episodes ago of like Aizawa's whole teachings of like you've got to learn to be creative with what you got. Clearly, Minato did something to get into Class 1A.
Yeah.
Which means if he wasn't there on recommendation, he had to have taken down those robots.
Like, let's say, okay, he's the worst. Let's say he's the worst person in the class.
Right.
How many kids is he better than?
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally every other class.
Exactly.
He's better than every other hero wannabe
that didn't get into the
that
classes.
year of his graduating class.
Right. Only 36 kids there got into the hero program.
So he's at worst the 36th best.
Yeah.
Of that class.
I want to talk about how Ide does not know what to do. He's a class representative, and he's worried because he feels like he can't protect the class, which is effectively his job. But in this situation, the best thing he could do is use his power to run and go alert All Might and the other teachers who can help them.
Right.
And I love this because he thinks, I am the leader, I have to stay here.
I have to fight. I have to
fight. Yes, but 13 actually says the sentence, use your quirk. I have it written down. Let's see. Use your quirk to save others, be a real hero.
Right. And the idea of what's the point of throwing your life away and dying when you have the power to survive and help other people. Like, while it feels like a no-brainer and as an outsider watching it being like, oh yeah, of course he should go do that when she suggests to go run. But as the kid there and going through your own, especially, high school, right? Going through your own, like, sense of pride and learning, it's one of those things that this show does fantastically of defining these kids as being high schoolers going through these processes and learning to be themselves.
Yeah.
And it's probably why I think I like this show so much.
Well, this is a really, really rough lesson to learn. This is something that they used to say a lot in Boy Scouts, and it's something that you kind of understand in the abstract, but it gets hard when you start seeing it for real. This is a sentence that they'd say to us a lot when we were talking about saving people from, like, a fire. Yeah. But it shows up in all kinds of first aid and all kinds of emergency preparedness situations. And that is, you're no good to them dead.
Dead.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you have to come first. And that is really hard when you're in an emergency situation. When you're actually watching somebody go overboard and like in a situation where they might drown. You have to make sure that they're not going to pull you under and accidentally drown you. And that's hard to do because you want to get in there and free them, but you can't. Because you're going to put yourself in danger. And if you die, they're going to die too, and now we have 2 dead people.
Yep.
In sports, your best ability is availability.
Yep.
You can't help us win if you can't play. So don't play if you're hurt. Sit, rest, you'll be back. But you can't help us if you're not playing.
It's very true.
But Izuku and Ida are like 2, some might say 2 halves or 2 different type of leaders.
Right. That's
Where
why
Izuku's about just
jumping in
by
and
example,
risking himself.
but Tenya is good leading like in the classroom.
Yeah.
On a field trip or something. Like telling people what to do.
Well,
They're like 2 different sides.
Right.
It's very true.
And in that sense of the last couple of episodes, right, where we're talking about that rivalry between them where they're learning from each other all the time, it's something that I think is amazing. And we get sort of a healthier rivalry for Midoriya that's not,
Yeah.
our favorite character.
Yes.
And I think as the show goes on, they learn those aspects from each other. And they become more even.
Yeah, absolutely they do. I want to talk a little bit about Kaminari. What is
Harden guy?
her name with the
Earphone Jack girl.
Yeah, what's her name?
I just have written
Earphone
down
Jack.
Earphone Jack.
It starts
Yeah.
with a J.
Don't go to
and
me
Mo-
for their names.
and
I have
Momo.
shorthand for all of them.
I lost all my notes for this episode, like written down wise. So
I was hoping you were going to say Harden guy and I was going to say Kirishima.
yeah, no, I love Kirishima. No, Kaminari, Earphone Jack Gal, and Momo are one of the groups that got separated, and we see them on the fly. Perfect team up.
Yeah.
Perfect team up. We've got a thinker in Momo who's also very useful and has things that can happen, right? With the blanket throwing up, or the plastic blanket.
Yeah.
That's, and, the quick thinking, what's the Earphone Jack Gal is just like straight fighting with Kaminari for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's better and Momo's using a sword. And they're like all fighters up front, but when they're like, you've got power, you can use it. We have a plan, do it.
Yeah,
And
well,
they
quick
do.
rundown. Their powers are Momo can materialize things from her body.
Mm-hmm.
What's the drawback on that? Did they say it?
It's from her like actual like
What's it called?
like the lipids in her.
Yeah. And she has to know what it's made of.
Yes, that's it. She
the
has to
materials,
understand its
which
exact
is why her
material
being
compound.
really smart is such an important trait.
Which
for
is
her.
why there's a little scene later in the series where they're all training and people are like outside running and fighting and stuff. And she's literally like in her pajamas reading.
Right.
And it's because she needs to learn what things are made of to make them.
Yeah. Sort of like alchemy.
Yeah.
They also have Earphone
She's just
Jack
Edward
girl.
Elric,
They also have Earphone Jack girl.
who has literal speakers on her legs.
Yeah. She
So
can
cool.
turn her heartbeat into a sound weapon, basically.
Does she have speakers on her legs or on her boots?
They're on her boots. They're not like
Yeah.
attached to her.
And
As
she can
part of
plug
costume
her.
design.
She can plug her ears into her boots to turn her heartbeat into a weapon.
Yeah.
But she can also plug it into things to like feel the sonic vibrations inside.
Also,
of her.
she can just plug it into like her phone to listen to music.
Yeah.
I think they show her doing that.
Yeah.
And the last one is Shock Top. I don't remember.
Kaminari.
Shock Top.
Kaminari.
Yeah, come on.
He is Pikachu, but
Judo.
he can't
Her
shoot
name's
it
Judo.
out. His name's Judo?
Her name is.
Oh, her name is Judo. You're
Oh
from
my god.
but he can like electrify himself and the things he touches, but he can't shoot it out unless he shoots it in all directions.
Yeah, like a major big discharge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he can't control where it goes. So he's best physically contacting people.
Yeah.
And in order to make that work, Judah ends up like using him like a yo-yo, doesn't she? Or is that Momo who does that with him? Where she's like, okay, you're gonna be my weapon now.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
She's also. I think it's Jiro
probably
because
Jiro,
she's
'cause
constantly
that's her attitude.
commenting on being like, "You're a man. Why don't you fight forward? Look how badass we are." And he's like, "Well, I can't." And then when they finally give him the opportunity to do it, we find out one of the back flaws of his power that we just mentioned, where he shocks his brain.
Now, what we've been talking about so far is mostly in episode 11, and this is called Game Over. this is just a continuation of the fight, more or less. But in this one, we're focusing mostly on Momo Juda. Is that what you said? Jiro.
Yeah.
And
Kaminari. Yeah.
Shock top. And in this one, Fingerface. I don't remember his name either.
Are you talking about Tomura?
Which one's he? Is he Fingerface?
Yeah. Tomura Shigaraki.
Yeah, he.
They say his name
Fingerface.
like 8 times in the matter of these 3 episodes. They say his name.
Fingerface.
Yeah, but Mist Guy says his name
He's
over and over and over and over and over again.
Because he's one of the only people I remember his whole name all the time.
Yeah,
Tomura
because the Mist Guy. I mean, we'll talk about it a little later, but
don't remember the Mist Guy's name.
But yeah,
Mist Guy.
What's his name? He does have a name, and
It's Mist Guy. Mist Guy.
Yeah, well, Shigaraki refers to him by his name. It's Kuro. Starts with a K.
That's okay. We can just sort of glaze over it and get to the topic at hand. You don't.
Mist Guy.
You don't have to remember all their names.
There's a point that the Mist Guy keeps calling him by his full name over and over and over again. It's to instill his name into the heroes, so that he is remembered. Because this is a big deal.
He doesn't have.
This is kind of a terror attack on this school. Like, this is a kind of a big deal.
And he doesn't have a name. He doesn't have like an All Might. Like, he doesn't have a.
Yeah, no, they just use his real full name.
Yeah,
I think that's interesting. That's super important.
But in this one, he fingers Aizawa.
I mean, he does.
Oh, we get to see his power.
Yes, he figures out Aizawa's flaw, and he ends up basically like attacking Aizawa.
Yeah.
I thought at the end of this episode, I thought Aizawa was dead. I was actually kind of depressed when later I found out he was alive, because I thought, oh, this is the perfect time to kill off Aizawa. He's had this really cool run, and if he dies, the students now have to like recognize, oh shit, things are real. But he doesn't. He's alive later.
More of a Ruka Sensei moment.
Yeah.
Where he kind of. It looks like he's about to die, but then the students rally together and save him.
Right, and as soon as we think he's going to die, that's when, who we've been waiting for to come up and show up for the fight shows up.
Yeah, well, because he's almost killed by Nomu, who is the bioengineered anti-symbol of peace, because the League of Villains has constructed a... What?
Why is his brain?
Yeah, to me that seems like a for sure weakness.
Like, just Detroit smash him in the brain.
Right the brain, yeah. Maybe his brain's as hard as the rest of the skin, like, for sure.
It's just
weird.
This is the weird look.
Yeah, no, it is weird, because you'd think, like, okay, my brain's just out here, just, like, stab some electrodes in there, and now we control him.
I like the idea that he's bioengineered, right? I like the idea that his design was designed, like, Shigaraki was like, we need this to look crazy.
Big, buff, purple guy with
This comes from the guy with hands all over his body, right?
Yeah.
We need this to look flashy. We need this to look crazy.
Which, can we get an explanation of what the hands are? Like, even if they're just costume bits, like, what are they made of?
I figured they had something to do with the fact that he's constantly itching himself. Like, it just feels good to have something covering him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's absolutely it. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we see him, like, scratching constantly whenever he's upset. So I think you're absolutely correct on that one. They keep him kind of calm. If you notice when he drops one, he kind of like freaks out for a second.
Oh yeah. Because he's just got really
I don't know.
His quirk is that he's got really dry skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got body dandruff. That could be his name, body dandruff.
Well, and also that he can straight up just disintegrate things with his hand. Well, no big deal.
He can give his dry skin to other people. His weakness is Jergens.
And he can disintegrate.
Rub some Vaseline on it.
Like, he doesn't have to be.
Yeah, he can just disintegrate shit. Yeah, game over happens. I think it's really interesting, right? We see sort of the end of a lot of these battles. Right when All Might comes in and they're doing monologuing, talking back and forth, right? We see the kids who are like number 1 stars in the class. We see Kirishima and Bakugo show up, and we see Todoroki show up. And there's a moment, this leads into the last episode, but there's a moment where they all show up, and they're all coming because they all heard at some point that Shigaraki said, and the Mist Guy, they revealed that they're here to kill All Might.
Yeah. Then they had a clear plan. And that's what scared...
And it's working.
Yeah. And that's what scared Sue back a couple episodes ago, because she figured out they are here to kill All Might. They're not just launching a rando attack.
Yeah, because that would be stupid.
They're not bringing
They
all these
planned
people
it.
to kill a class of...
Yeah, they planned it.
Because they wanted to attract All Might. They wanted to kill him, which means they definitely had something that could kill him.
Yeah, what was the line from a few episodes ago where All Might's like, the real villains... it was one
They're
of
like hide in the shadows.
Yeah, truly evil villains hide in the shadows and are not seen.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come out in daylight.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know they're there.
Except the Joker.
Except the Joker. Yeah, I mean, I think the fight kind of bleeds into the episode 12.
Yes, because this episode ends with All Might showing up, and the next one then is capped off with what he does after he's here. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it comes with he shows up and then he starts fighting Nomu and he's like, "What the heck?" And then they like trap him, and Todoroki sort of like saves him with the ice for the 1 second.
Mm-hmm. And I really like that All Might's main method of attack is to punch it, and when that doesn't work, his backup is to punch it harder.
Yep.
That is such an All Might technique. He's got one strategy, and when it doesn't work, he just does it again, but more.
If he's made to fight me at 100%, I'll give it 115.
Yeah.
Like, come on, All Might. Like, that's not how science works. If you're not fighting at your 100% means max capacity. But to go with the theme of the school, that's what Go Beyond plus Ultra means. Mm-hmm. And he's embodying that.
So what I'm seeing here is that at some point, All Might's going to have to meet something that he cannot just punch away. And eventually, when you meet something you can't just punch away, you have to find a better way to defeat it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing with All Might's power is there hasn't been anything yet in this run that he can't punch away.
Yeah.
And literally, Nomu's no exception.
At this point, he is One Punch Man.
Well,
at this point.
What is it, like 350 consecutive hits or something
Yeah,
like that?
but until Nomu...
In my prime, it would be 5.
Until Nomu, he's One Punch Man.
Yeah, I mean, he literally, with one punch, changes the weather.
Mm-hmm.
In that one episode, right? He also, like, straight up... So, Tomura Shigaraki wants to kill the symbol of peace. He hates All Might, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean...
We don't know his motivations yet, but he does.
Other than he just straight up hates All Might.
Yeah.
Right? In the same vein that Midoriya loves All Might.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Shigaraki wants to kill the symbol of peace for whatever. He planned something out. He and the Mist Guy had a plan to kill All Might for a purpose. They show up, and he starts spouting nonsense, and All Might, like, straight up is like... what does he say? He says it has a specific line. I don't know if you guys wrote this down as a quote, but you're nothing but someone who just wants to cause chaos because he can, because he hates himself. Mm-hmm. And literally, Shigaraki's like, shit, he's right. he's like, he's like, how are you figuring me out so fast? Well, no matter. like, shut up.
That's why a lot of people end up becoming abusive or end up becoming evil in any form. Even here in reality, the most evil people are, by and large, people who hate themselves.
Right.
And you constantly need to prove reasons to yourself why you shouldn't hate yourself. I can't hate myself because I have money, and I can't hate myself because I have power. But at the end of the day, they just hate themselves.
Right.
And you need to find a level of self-respect just in order to be nice.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. There's another arc that I'm pointing out Shigaraki a lot right now because it's another arc that's super interesting. Mm-hmm. As one of these characters that we see. All the kids, right? They're all characters that we want to see learn to be themselves, and that is no exception for the bad guys in this show. Like, you care as much as an audience member, not as like a they're good people, but like as an audience member, it's interesting to watch, and you care to see the difference as the characters grow and become more like the journey, the self-discovery journey for all these characters in this world.
Yeah, especially because when you watch later episodes, you see situations
Right.
where you know what the old
Version of them would have
like
done.
The episode 10 version of them would
Yeah.
have done.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, this is episode 34, and they're like
Yeah.
a
And
little
that's-
more into it, and they react quicker and things,
Right.
and they don't panic as much.
Exactly. I mean, we get that immediately. This is like a big deal, right? This is the first, for these kids, this is the first time they fought real villains who are trying to kill them.
Yeah, I actually have written down that this
Like, that's-
this story has felt the most like Harry Potter. Where a bunch of kids are thrown into a very real situation way before they can,
Way
in the
before
middle
they're,
of
like-
school in a place that's supposed to be safe.
Yeah, way before they're ready for it.
And
Yeah.
this is the second time they've used their quirks in a fight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some of them, I mean, Bakugo, right, we've had him, like, trying to fight off the sludge demon, and we had, like,
Yeah.
characters, we had Deku come in and save people before.
Yeah.
Well,
We've had characters
we've
who
had
save
two-
people.
We've had two conflicts before this, but they were the first test with the robots and the second test with each other.
Nothing with people trying to kill, before they succeed with the whirlpool, we have that guy who can like turn into the water, who's like, come down in the water so we can just murder you and get this over with. Like, we're
Yeah.
only doing a job here and you guys are just getting in the way.
Yeah, so their third time really having to use their quirks is life or death.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal. And not only is it a big deal, but the 1A kids prove that they can handle it.
They're about that
Right?
life.
Like, just based off of their skills already. Obviously, mentally, they're not. This is probably a system shock for a lot of these characters. I mean, as we see in Mineta as sort of like the surrogate, like, this is scary.
Yeah.
But in terms of their actual abilities and capable of controlling their abilities, there's a reason why they were selected for the class, and this example is exactly why.
Yeah.
Right? The one other thing I had written down for this last episode, like I said, all these, the top kids in the class, like Todoroki, Kirishima, all these guys who like want to be the best of the best, they all show up, and when Deku's with Sue and stuff, he knows that All Might's not able to fight because he knows that the reason he wasn't in class was because he wasted his 3 hours. He already figured that all up in his head, and he comes back to make sure All Might's going to be okay before he fights the Nomu, right? But he's not the only one that shows up. Bakugo shows up. Kirishima shows up. Todoroki shows up because they all view All Might the same.
Yeah.
It's not just a story about All Might and Deku. It's a story about all these kids who want to be. They all want to be the number one hero. They all see All Might in that light, and this is the first time I think we really, because Deku is the nerd. Deku is the one who wears that on his chest. These other characters, for the first time, are. You guys said you were going to kill All Might, and we don't want it to happen.
Because they each have their lens,
right?
but they all care and look up to All Might.
Yes.
Like, Bakugo may do it in like a Naruto, diss the third Hokage type way.
Yeah.
But it's still looking up to. Todoroki may be like, look at it in kind of way of like, I'm going to be there one day, and like, I'm already headed that way, but he still looks to, like, he still knows he has to pass All Might.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any final thoughts before we close out today?
I just want to leave it on all these kids come to his aid, and that makes it a big deal for him to say, don't worry about it, and give them the thumbs up. And that's where the episode like ends off.
I think that's as good a place for
Now,
us to leave off.
In these episodes, do the other heroes show up?
No,
No,
it
they
ends
show up
off
next
with
one, yeah.
All Might saying, don't worry about me, gives him the thumbs up, and then he beats the shit out of the Nomu and flies into the sky.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh shit, 115%.
Yeah, 115%. I still say this feels like it's all leading to a situation where All Might's going to be stuck somewhere where he can't just punch his problems away, because that's got to be where you take that character.
Right. I mean, he's learning as he goes as a teacher.
Yeah.
Right. He's learning to be a teacher and not the hero anymore. That's like, how does somebody who's used to punching all the time and
Yeah.
being the hero by just punching sit down and tell somebody, well, you just gotta keep punching. He's got to learn how to be able to teach other heroes to be heroes in their own way.
You know what, son?
Not the All Might way.
You know what, son? Sometimes you gotta kick.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta kick.
See you guys next week.